Hello and welcome to On Your Lane. This is the best place for ambitious people who are taking charge of their lives. They want to make that income, they want to make that impact and live a fulfilling life. If that's you, welcome. Today we're talking about why Africans don't pursue international opportunities. I put this up as a question on my social media platforms, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And it was an amazing insightful experience. I enjoy interacting and learning from other people, hearing their point of views, because I find that when we think together towards a specific thing, great things tend to happen. You learn something new, you get new ideas, and you connect with like minds. So I got so many comments and I piled those together to give you insight into how we think as Africans, how we think as professionals, and how that is affecting us and what we can do about it, because we want to make income and want to make impact. And I believe key or part of that process is us being able to go anywhere in the world and prospering. We have to benefit from the global economy. We can't just be receivers. So being aggressive and going into these places where we're leading on Fortune 100 companies, we're leading in these other FITSA companies. Like, we have to be in these places where decisions are being made, and we have to learn and bring back that knowledge back home. Yeah, so this is why I think this discussion is important. I find it interesting that people from other parts of the world can move into Africa and be called expatriates, be paid well for it, and be respected in their careers because of it. Whereas when an African moves to the other parts of the world, we take smaller roles and we shrink back, and we usually have a backlash at home of, why are you going there? You're abandoning and all that. So that connotation, which I also had, honestly, is something that I have been undoing lately, because I know that the world is now a global economy. We really need to participate and not just be recipients. And we need new knowledge, new experiences, so that we can change our economies where we're coming from. And we can't use that same information. We need other people to go out and get new information. We need other people to go out and get new experiences from people that have gone ahead. There is beauty that happens when you have diverse experience and when you see the world. But I do understand that this is not for everyone. So I refrain from saying everyone should do this, because that's one thing that also comes like a pushback. When I say we should get more international opportunities, people usually assume that I'm saying everyone should get international opportunities. I don't think so. I think other people are going to build businesses home-based and are not going to go anywhere, and they're going to thrive. I believe other people are going to work in their home countries and they're going to thrive. But I believe there's a portion of people that need to go and explore and then come back with goodies, with experience, with value-adding things that will build our economies. And I believe that since our economies are not growing at the rate we would want them to, there are more educated professionals, experienced professionals than there are roles. There are roles elsewhere in the world. We can benefit from going to these places because our countries have excess talent, whereas in some countries they don't have as much talent. They actually have more vacancies than talent. So this is going to be a great discussion. I will share a few of my thoughts, but mostly it'll be what people have shared with me, and therefore we'll have some discussions around it. Why? Because we want to live a fulfilling life. We want to achieve the great things that God has designed us to achieve. And that might mean relocating, that might mean getting grounded, that might mean persevering, sacrificing, whatever it is. But we must achieve what we are meant to, so that our lives leave a mark that make the future generations say thank you for leaving the world better than we found it. Now, all my discussions center around this thing. You are meant to do great things, and that God wants to partner with you to do those great things. If you hear the challenges that I'm going to share, and they're great points, you can be discouraged and agree with them. But I want you to know that God has a plan for your life, and challenges mean nothing if God is the one leading you. I like to say that green pastures is not a place you go to. Green pastures is where the Lord is leading you. And if the Lord, like Abraham, is leading you out of your land and says, I'll prosper you there, it'll be foolish of you to stay and say, no, but I'm comfortable here. So it's important to be led. It's important to have a relationship with God that will guide you. And it's important to be aware of his challenges, but to know what is for you and to make a decision, an informed decision for you. Now, let's get into the list. After I got feedback from people in this research, I ranked the challenges. I'm going to start from the least challenge to the heaviest challenge. So stick around so that you can watch to the end and hear the most challenging factor that most people say blocks them from pursuing and getting international opportunities as an African professional. So number 9, a lack of mentorship. Most people had the opinion that when people go abroad, they don't like to share how they got there. And even locally, those people who have gone and succeeded and come back don't offer mentorship to others. So people stay in spaces where they're not exposed, they don't understand the challenges, and they don't understand what is possible. So if people were mentored more intentionally, it would help them see the opportunities and how they are suited to them. And I must say, I agree. I agree that mentorship plays a big role, because you're meeting someone who's saying, I've been there and I've seen these things. These are the positives and the negatives. However, lack of mentorship is not necessarily true, according to my opinion. There's a lot of mentorship, but negative mentorship. Much of what I heard before I moved was negative, about the challenges, about what's not possible, about the racism, about the lack of opportunities. And I knew that I didn't want to be in that space. I wanted to stay in my country. So opportunities outside my borders didn't appeal to me because I was mentored negatively. So yeah, lack of positive mentorship is a real thing. Number 8 is lack of quality practical education. People were of the opinion that in Africa we have head knowledge. There are a lot of people with degrees upon degrees that can't practically execute what they have qualified themselves for. This is quite controversial. I could agree to some extent and also disagree. I don't think the reason why people are not moving to other countries is lack of practicality of their education. I think we could sometimes have that as a hindrance, but most times it's our lack of confidence as well. We've not been exposed to these platforms, to these economies, and we think, if I go there, am I going to make sense? So I'm not sure if the lack of education could really be totally lack of education. Rather, it could be lack of exposure, lack of confidence in that what you have learned can be applied and be relevant elsewhere. What do you think about that? Number 7 is patriotism. People are so patriotic, they don't want to go anywhere. And that is true. That was true for me. You didn't tell me anything about any country and how it's better than my country. No matter how true it was, I'll be like, oh, that's nice, but we have a country to build. I remember getting an opportunity to stay in the US at one point, and in that moment I was like, I don't want to. And for me, it meant I'm choosing that country over my country. And I don't think it's necessarily true. Just because you love your country doesn't mean you can't go elsewhere, learn and come back. This is true if you are thinking, I'm abandoning this country and never coming back again. I believe that we, the Africans, the Malawians, the Nigerians, the Zimbabweans, the South Africans, are the ones to build our nations. So we should not really abandon it. Though for others, they might want to go and never come back, and that's fine. It's personal choice. I believe that patriotism is beyond just staying in your country. It is fighting for your country, sacrificing for your country, building your country. And that might mean you getting skills that are not available in your country. That might mean you getting opportunities, financing that is not available in your country, and then coming back to build your country. I used to really resist moving out because I thought I want to build my business in this country that way. But right now at this point, I'm thinking there are different ways of achieving the same thing. And sometimes you need the change, the challenge of being in a different place with different systems for you to think outside the box and say, I'm going to do this in my country. For me, being in the UK allows me to think, I want to implement this one thing in my country, or this system, or this order, or this organization. I learn so much, but everything ties back to where I'm coming from. It doesn't make me less patriotic. Maybe you think it would, but I believe that there are different ways, different contributions we can make to our countries, and just staying there, being stranded or struggling whilst everyone else is struggling, you not having any solutions for yourself and for your family, doesn't make you more patriotic. Number 6, it's the process of relocation. It is long, it is exhausting. I don't want to do it. Another person mentioned something that I believe was complementary to this challenge. They said lack of patience and planning. That was my problem. So I really sided with her when I saw it, because the process can be exhausting. But if you know the process and you understand what it's going to require, it makes it more bearable. If you know the end goal and what you're trying to attain, it makes the process bearable. And my challenge in life had been that I never planned. If I wanted to travel today, I would want to travel today. If I wanted to travel, I wouldn't plan for 2 years and say I'm going to travel and go on holiday in 2 years. That was not my mindset. If I couldn't do it immediately or in the near future, I would not plan for it at all. So the ability to plan, the ability to have patience and to understand that in 5 years, I would like to be in this place. Therefore, let me do research to understand the skills that are appreciated in that space. What could I learn? How could I position myself? Who do I need to affiliate with? You could plan for 5 years and start the process today, and you're living your normal life, but you're learning, researching, positioning yourself, getting qualifications because you know where you want to be in 5 years. And that is a rare quality because most people want instant gratification, and if something demands patience, that's sacrifice, and most people are like, no, we don't want that. So the process is exhausting. I will agree with that. It's rigorous, and sometimes you're like, why do I need to give you all this information? Why do I need to give you information about where I was 5 years ago? Why? But if you know what you're going for and why, it makes it bearable. So planning and patience will really be an antidote to the process because you understand what you're doing and what it demands from you. The fifth point was mindsets. There are various mindsets that make it better to stay at home or that elevate staying at home beyond pursuing international opportunities. So the mindsets were like where we believe that people who go abroad have no plans at home or they're not relevant at home. Those are the uneducated, so they're going abroad to mop and do manual work, and they need to do that because as the educated, the exposed will stay and build this nation. Yeah, it does sound ridiculous, but it is true. I used to think that way because when I was growing up, at a certain point, there was this mass exodus of people from my neighborhood, and everyone was going to the UK, to the US, to Canada. And most of the people who were leaving were people who had failed education, they hadn't gotten their certificates, they hadn't gotten into the university, and they left. And so that gave me a negative mindset. I used to think that if people are going abroad, it's because they have no plans. They are not relevant. So that mindset is very limiting. You find that even when I saw opportunities and somebody proposed them to me, I always took it negatively. I thought, you think I have no plans? You think I'm not relevant? You think I can't make it here? So that is true. Another mindset issue that showed up was low self-esteem, lack of confidence. And I think this is more powerful than we realize. And not just for relocation, but for life and all opportunities. Because just because you're qualified doesn't mean you will get the promotion or you will start the business or you succeed in whatever area you want. It is the confidence that makes it happen. So if I am good at a job and I meet you and I'm trying to tell you that I'm good at it, but I can't speak confidently, you will lose your confidence. How I carry myself, how I do what I'm doing, how I think, all those things are affected by my confidence. And they can hinder a qualified person. They can hinder a relevant person from moving forward. And I find that people who are confident in most places in Africa are shut down. They're called arrogant. They're called know-it-alls and everything. And we celebrate the smallness. And I remember working in a company and thinking, oh no, I don't need to confidently offer my services or offer my ideas. If I just sit in the corner and do a great job, it will speak for me. And I looked at those people who were acting as politicians, speaking for themselves. I would look at them as, oh, these people, they are less than, But confidence is essential. Your ability to sell yourself is essential. Your ability to communicate what you do is essential as much as your ability to do the thing. So we need to build a culture of confidence, even in the children that we're raising or we are close to. Don't speak like, you can't do this, you don't know how to do this. And I see that in a lot of African entertainment, which shows me that it is existent in our communities. We speak negatively to each other, to children, even when our jokes are negative. Even when we're laughing at the negative things, we're gossiping about the negative things, we highlight the negative things, and that really chips away our confidence. When it's time for you to shine, you will have so much blockage and hindrance in your head that is working against you because of all the negative things that have been said, you have said, and received even from other people. Another mindset issue that was highlighted was that there are no opportunities, like office opportunities or white-collar jobs for Black people. And well, I don't know how true that is. It could be challenging. I think the confidence aspect is also part of it because times have changed. The challenges that people used to face 10, 15, 20 years ago are not the same as now. I can't say that it doesn't exist at all, racism and everything, but I would say there are opportunities that still exist, white-collar opportunities, if you pursued them. So if you have the confidence and you can articulate what you can do and what you offer, your value, and then you can position yourself correctly, I believe that there are more opportunities now than there used to be in the past. So maybe the stories that we have heard in the past past still run in our heads of, oh no, they will just make you do this, or you can't do that because you're black and everything. Yes, there are limitations that we have to acknowledge and be aware of, but I think right now in this time there are more opportunities that have opened up as well. Hindrance number 4 is fear. Fear is terrible. Fear elevates the worst case scenarios in your head. So you are applying for this opportunity, they give you a job and you're thinking, I'm going to do it, but you think, what if the job ends? What if this inflation hits me this way? What if I'm hit by a car and then I can't support my family and my family is not there to look after my children? What if this? What if that? There's worst case scenarios to everything, and fear highlights those as possibilities. Most of the things we fear never really happen, and when they do happen, you'll be surprised by your persistence and ability to overcome them. So identify your fear. There was fear of the unknown that was mentioned, fear of failure, fear of not being accepted, fear of not getting what you're looking for and then having to sell your dreams and do something manual. So many fears exist, but fear is the opposite of faith, and it points towards what information you've been consuming. If all you've been consuming are those negative mentorship stories, negative challenges, news highlights negative stories a lot because they want your attention, they want ratings. So if that's all you're consuming, that's all you're highlighting, you will find that you will miss out on great things because of fear. Don't smile at fear, don't tolerate it, don't give it room. Don't say, I'll feel the fear and do it anyway. No, fear is not your friend, get it out. You are able to exist without fear. You have to build your faith. So hear positive stories, read your Bible, understand the challenges, yes. Prepare for the challenges, yes. But know that you are more capable, you are more resilient than you know. And with God looking over you, you'll be able to overcome. You'll be able to get to the place you need to get to. And fear doesn't have to stop you, hinder you, or even speak in your ear. Shut it down and focus on what you want. So don't let fear stop you. Now we're getting to the top 3. Number 3 is lack of finances. This is valid. Getting a visa is expensive. Relocating yourself, more so with your family, is expensive. I had a first-hand experience with this thing. And oh my goodness, I met poverty face to face. And I was like, I think I am poor. I think this is poverty. God help me shed poverty off. Because I wanted my family to move for this opportunity that had come to us, but the demands financially, oh my goodness. And you can look at it and say, yeah, it's just demanding. But for me, what it told me at that moment was I had not done enough planning in my life. This was an opportunity that came up and I was not saving any money. I was just investing and using everything that I was making. So it's important to plan. Remember we talked about planning. It's important to plan, to save, to invest, to have multiple streams of income so that when an opportunity comes and you want to take that opportunity, you shouldn't be hindered by poverty. Also understand poverty. Don't defend it. Sometimes we defend it and say, not everyone can be rich, not everyone can do that. No. Poverty doesn't benefit you in any way. So don't tolerate it. Understand where your poverty is coming from. Is this generational? Is it from laziness? Is it from lack of skills? Is it from lack of exposure? Understand where it's coming from and attack that root. Attack. Poverty is not your friend. You will be in need and your family needs health support and you can't. You have good dreams and good things to do for the kingdom of God and people in need and you can't. You want to eat something, just something, not too fancy, even just good food, but you can't because of poverty. You are forced to be attached to economic swings. So you're up and down. Your mood is up and down. Your family is up and down because of the economy ups and downs. Because of poverty. Don't let poverty do that to you. We can get out of poverty. I come to this country and I look at the poor people and I'm like, this is not poverty. I have seen poverty. I've been affected by poverty. It is not our friend. And therefore, let's work. Whether you're going abroad or not, let's work against poverty. Let's get it out. Let's hate it and practically get out of it by getting the right skills, the right mentorship, the right exposure, the right humility. Whatever we need, let's do all we can. Prayers, fasting, action. Let's take it all and get rid of poverty. Poverty is terrible. Poverty wears down our ideas. If a great idea is coming from a poor person, it goes nowhere. Nobody will respect it. So by all means, let's not celebrate, defend, or stand by poverty. Let's be aggressive with it. And if you can do it at a country level, do it in your own home, in your family. Your children should never know poverty. You yourself should never know poverty. And you should be committed to that. because it is a time waster. We waste our time with things that should be solved easily. We waste our prayer time praying for school fees, praying for food, praying for things that God has given us the ability to just go and buy. We should be praying for things that are beyond our ability. Nations, we should be praying about building things, generational wealth, our children, securing them and stuff like that. But we spend time asking for rent, asking for basics. Oh, let that not be our portion. And I think from that you see how passionately I hate poverty, because I have seen it, I've seen what it does, and there's nothing good about it. I say this because I used to defend poverty. I used to say, oh no, blessed are the poor. And I'm like, it doesn't mean poor like poverty where you're lacking everything. Blessed are the poor, they are the ones who are acknowledging that they need God. They acknowledge their lack without God. But the Bible says God is the one who gives us the power to create wealth. He told the Israelites, when you go into this land, don't forget me. When you have these houses and have achieved all these glorious things, don't forget me. Remember the Lord your God. So the Lord's will was for them to prosper and remember him. There was nothing like, okay, be poor so that you can remember me. No. The Lord wants you to do things. And the Bible also says promotion comes from the Lord. We need to get rid of this poverty, whether in our homes, in our personal lives, in our communities, in our countries. The Lord help us. The Lord help us with that. Now, that aside, if you have lack of finances, develop a plan. Please develop a plan. When do you want to relocate? And see what options exist for you there. And if you don't see any options, pray, because there are opportunities around you. You don't know who the Lord can move to support you. You don't know what scholarship could arise. You don't know what job could arise. And to that effect, I always propose the skilled worker visa, because that visa has the employer sponsoring you and your family in some cases. And that makes the financial burden less. So you see, lack of finances is not an excuse. You can relocate on a scholarship, you can relocate on a sponsored visa, and that is something God can do for you. It can, so it doesn't have to hinder you, right? So yes, it's a valid challenge, but there are ways to work around it. Number 2 is family connections. As Africans, we are communal. We love our circles, we love our friends, and it's a valid challenge to say, I don't want to move. I know it's a great opportunity. I don't want to move because my parents are aging. I would love to see them and support them more often. I would like to be present to my friends. My kids are growing. I want them to be in this certain community. Those are valid challenges and valid points. I would say that in this scenario, you just have to weigh your options. Pros and cons will depend on you and your priorities in that season. I love my family. I love my community. Right now I'm here in this country, far from home. I did not plan to do it. But when I got here, I got to a place where I was like, okay, what is my plan for my family? How often can I visit? And what is the challenge there? Can I support them better whilst here in terms of finances? Can I maintain our relationships whilst here? Maybe via technology, phones and stuff like that. So it's a pros and cons kind of scenario, and it will vary for your cases. And where your parents are aging and you want to take care of them, yeah, that's valid. I don't know if I would be able to leave my parents if they're aging and they needed my support. I don't know. But again, this is why I say have a strong prayer life with God. Because if God is going to keep your parents and this opportunity is something that is existing for the next 2 or 3 years, then you should do that. You should take that opportunity. But I can't just impose and say, no, when you want an opportunity, just go. No. It's personal to you. But just make sure that you're not being influenced by things like fear, things like lack, things like the unknown, right? Just make sure that it's really, you're being true to yourself when you say, I can't move because of this. Because if it's a true positive opportunity, it could really benefit your family and your friendships and your progress as well. And number 1, the first challenge that most people mentioned is lack of information / exposure and / lack of opportunities. This is so true. I don't know what it is, but I find that most people in our communities, in African communities, don't like to share how they succeeded. And I spoke to somebody one time and they told me that their challenge was that when they shared, people thought they were being proud. And so they decided not to share. For another person, they said when they shared, they were attacked. And another time, somebody actually blocked that opportunity. Somebody gets a visa and it's communicated to them and they share it with a friend. And you know what the friend did? The friend goes and does whatever they did, but that visa was retracted. And when the embassy was retracting that visa, they said, we got new information that there's something negative. And they needed to research that before they gave them the visa. So there are valid reasons why people don't want to share, because there are valid enemies, valid negative forces working against us. Even in people who are smiling and saying, oh, this is good, they think there are many people who don't wish you well and they'll do anything to pull you down. And that's a challenge that exists in African countries. We don't sometimes wish ourselves well enough to support other people. So we're like, if we're going to suffer, we're going to suffer together. So people can't share information freely because they're afraid, right? On the other hand, it's the research aspect of it. There's a lot of information online. There's a lot of YouTube videos. I didn't know this till I came to an opportunity that I needed. You see? So you have to open yourself up. Before you say there are no opportunities, did you do any research? Can you just go on YouTube and look for a video that enlightens you in that area? That will lead you to another thing that will open up bigger opportunities for you. So yes, there are lack of opportunities. Yes, there's lack of information. Yes, that could be a real hindrance. But I think there are more responses and solutions to this challenge than we can imagine, especially in this age of internet, of YouTube videos, of AI, of all these things. You have access to information. Even if nobody gives it to you, like processed and filtered, you can go there and look for the information yourself. It takes a real desire. You really want to achieve this goal, because sometimes it's just like a casual desire, like I would like to move and relocate for an international job, you know, and when a challenge comes, you're like, oh no, I don't want that. That is a casual desire. But if your desire is solid and you really want to invest in this, then invest the time to watch those videos, to do research, to understand, because most of the times people who say there are no opportunities, it's a struggle, don't have information. They just like to spread the fear, have that attention, and discourage the people who have hope and who are wanting to better their lives. All right, so those were the 9 challenges. Honestly, every challenge is an opportunity for you to learn, to grow, and to overcome it. When you win and overcome a big challenge, your victory is sweeter. So I encourage you to be aware of these challenges, because they are valid challenges, and see how you're preparing yourself for them. But even better, look for information, build your faith, pray, get positive mentors, and be clear on what you want. I've shared a couple of videos that are talking about how to pray your way into success. I've shared another video that is talking about how to identify international opportunities. These are valuable resources that after you've seen these challenges, go to those and see, how can I apply this information to get what I really want? Right? My name is Mavis Tandizo Ganjata. I love to connect with you, and if this was helpful, meet me up and hit me up, DM me on any of my social media platforms. There are links in the description. I am here every week with a new video to elevate your life, your career, your finances, and I'd love to see you then. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.